Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course, the best medicine of them all. Reflect on cherished memories. Remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course, discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grow with Portia. I am your host, Portia Booker, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep it with all things Grow with Portia. So you guys get me today. My guest who was going to join us today had something come up, so they will be joining us another time. So I titled this episode, "The House is Still Here, but Home is Gone." So a little backstory about the topic for today. Last week, I was meeting with one of my clients, and I wanted to give them an example of a way to incorporate their talking points or expertise into their podcast episodes without it sounding too teachy, too salesy. And so this concept came about because, as those of you know, I've experienced many different transitions over the last couple of years with my mother and my father. And recently, I've been going through a couple of different things in my room, old pieces of my history from elementary school, high school. And one of the things that keeps coming back up is, what is this sense of home? Right? Let that sink in. What is this sense of home? For some, home is a physical edifice that has a living room, a dining room, multiple bedrooms, several bathrooms. Some people are lucky to have a she shed. So if my other half is listening, I'd love a she shed. We can build together, but that's for a whole nother day. But for others of us, home changed. Home never was about a physical edifice. Home resembled a safe space, a space where love was abundant, a space where you walked into the kitchen and you smelled the aromas of home-cooked chicken soup or the recipe of sweet potato pie. You were met with words of encouragement on a hard day after work, on a hard day after school, or when you just felt that life was crumbling around you. Can anybody else relate to that today? So I talked about this because I've noticed that home for me was just that. Home changed when my mom transitioned. Home was her. Home was my great grandmother. So when I talk about this sense of home, I'm not just talking about a physical building. I'm talking about the memories. I'm talking about the moments that we spent time together. I'm talking about the laughter that we had. You know, one of the things that I love doing sometimes is going through old pictures. And one of the pictures that I happened to run into was of me as a little girl. I think I was about maybe 4 or 5. And my teeth were gone in the front. I was definitely snaggletooth by then. And when I think about the picture and who's in it, it's me, my mom, and my brother. And life resembled simplicity then. It wasn't what it is today, where there's so much going on. We're all on social media. We have busier lives with travel, with our businesses. If you're going back to school, if you have a multitude of extracurricular activities on your schedule, we're all so busy. But yet again, what is this sense of home for many of us? You know, earlier this week or last week, I had an interesting experience where I encountered someone that I haven't seen in years. When I tell y'all years, I mean, we're going back like 10 years or so. Okay. And I think about the routines that I've had. For example, you know, when you're in school, you know, you go to school from, I'll just say, noon until 4, and you're with that same group of people and that teacher or professor. And again, it's that sense of home, right? You're used to that routine. You're used to being around these people. But what happens when that routine shifts? What happens when that sense of comfort, that sense of this is what my focus is now, but soon it's going to pivot? And that's what recently happened to me. And I share this message today because I know there's others of you out there who are searching for that sense of home, who are looking for that. Because when you lose your person or you have that big transition in your life, it's not always just from a physical loss of a person. It can be from a pet. It could be relocation for a job. It could be you're getting out of a bad relationship. But that sense of home is beyond just the physical edifice. So I wanted to leave that quick message with all of you today. Like I mentioned, my guest, she could not make it today, and that's all right. But on a bigger note, as I segue a little bit about this sense of home, another thing that I really want to talk about today is just this notion of where are we today? How are we moving forward with home, right? So one of the things that I've recently been doing is I've been taking different photos and writing out a memory, right? Sometimes I'll sit with it and revisit it for longer periods of time than before, right? And what I mean by that is I have lots of pictures that I keep close by. So when I used to live in Tulsa, those of you may remember that journey that I had about 10 years ago, believe it or not, which is crazy. When I used to live in Tulsa, I took a group of pictures with me of my mom, my dad, just me and my cousins, some of them when we were little. And when I think about the pictures, when I think about us just having a free spirited time in the backyard playing kickball, or, we're doing so many different things, what comes to my mind is joy, but also grief too, because there is that moment in our life where we're going to play at the spot. So if any of my cousins remember the spot, there's going to be one last time that we play in the spot, and that's all right. But at the same time, there's still that memory of what we found in the spot. I remember all the different bug hunts, from grasshoppers to obviously worms. Of course, I love butterflies. I see them quite often, especially now, since both of my parents have transitioned, whether it's monarchs, whether it's yellow swallowtails, black swallowtails. The endless amount of butterflies that I see is amazing. But as I mentioned, again, it's that sense of home. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm like coughing or choking today, but that's all right. We'll get through it. At least you guys know that I'm real, that I at least have a little blip every blue moon. But as I mentioned, though, this sense of home, I really want you to sit with that today. What does home mean to you? What does it feel like for you? Even though the house is still there and home may be gone, you have the opportunity to create that sense of home wherever you decide to go. All right, so everyone, that concludes this little short episode of Grew with Portia. And I'll see you guys next time. In the meantime, peace and hair grease, everyone.